And good afternoon, financial professionals. I'm John Florence, Senior Vice President of Marketing at E4 Insurance Services, welcoming you once again to The Brew, where we build relationships every week. On today's Brew, we welcome E4 Insurance's newest addition, Brady Serold. Brady is E4's new Senior Vice President of Disability Income, and he's going to be talking alongside Dan Peterson, our managing partner. Talk to us about disability income insurance and why E4 decided to expand into this range of solutions for our clients. Before we get started, I'd like to say feel free to use our chat box to share your thoughts and ask questions. Also, all attendees are in a drawing for a CE voucher and a Starbucks gift card. We'll be announcing the winner at the end of the program. Thanks for tuning in. So, guys, welcome to The Brew. Dan, I've said hi to you here multiple times. And Brady, I think this is the first time that we're actually having you on as a guest. So welcome to the show. And we're looking forward to having this conversation with you. Dan, to get started, why don't you take us through? And one of the things that's happening is this week is the launch of E4's new DI line of business or DI division. Tell us about the thinking. Why are we doing this, and why now, and what's happening here?
Well, John, thanks for the opportunity. I, as you mentioned, the ice cream sandwiches, I think about the times that I've had the Schwann's truck pull up in front of our house, and you get the ice cream sandwiches fresh off the Schwann's truck, where the sandwich still, that chocolate almost is crisp. And so you've brought back some great memories today. As we talked about disability insurance, I wanted to just go back a little bit. As an organization, our mission, our corporate mission, is to help financial advisors craft better financial and emotional outcomes for their clients, their businesses that they work with, through distribution of insurance solutions that deliver predictable results in an unpredictable world. And as we were looking at the offering that we had, one of the things that we've been outsourcing, because it was such a specialty line of business, was our disability income solutions. And as we looked at it, the second component of that is to try to create a consistent positive advisor experience. So when we looked at the experience that our advisors were facing, we found that it wasn't as consistent as we would like it to be, and we began the discussion of adding a key fourth line of insurance solutions that would be a core to our overall operation. So life insurance, long-term care, or linked benefit types of sales, annuities with lifetime income, and lastly, disability income. But we needed the right leader to come aboard and join our organization, and that part of the search, we had an opportunity to meet Brady Serold, who had built the disability income insurance line for Ohio National for the past 10 years, and they had decided to exit the business, and Brady became available, looking for the right company, the right fit. He has a tremendous background of being an underwriter, a senior underwriter for the principal, the chief underwriter for disability insurance for the Standard, actually helped build their executive benefit product line. And so we just found somebody with a tremendous amount of experience who really fits very well with his core philosophy of it all starts with a plan. And what is your plan, as Brady will talk about, if you become too sick or hurt to work? What is the plan that every financial advisor needs to ask their client? So we're just privileged, John, to really have someone come aboard with our organization who's got tremendous experience, who fits with our core philosophy of what we're trying to do here at E4 Insurance Services, and we're just happy to have Brady join us.
That's fantastic. And again, Brady, welcome both to E4 Insurance Services as well as to the program, The Brew. So that was a glowing recommendation for you. Um, Why don't you start by telling us a little bit more about your background? How do you come to be in this space and become one of the recognized experts in this field? And what drives you? What are you passionate about in this space?
Yeah, thanks, John, and thanks, Dan. Been a pleasure being part of the team the last, I guess we're almost on 2 months of employment now. Um, but yeah, when you graduate from college, everybody says, I want to be an underwriter. I mean, that's like your highlight job when you graduate. No, actually, hey, it was early 90s, and it was a job, and they said, hey, we can't pay for you to move to Kansas City, but we got a job here if you want to move here. And I'm like, all right, packed everything in the Honda Civic and went to Kansas City, Missouri. That's kind of how it started, and specialized in the DI side, and did a little bit of everything, and then to the executive benefit sales side in about 2004, and then regional territory management, had some personal practice, and just fell in love with disability. I mean, again, it's undersold, under talked about, but it's probably the most needed product that we have out there, because everything in your financial plan is predicated on positive cash flow. And again, as Dan said, my mantra when I went to Ohio National, even when I was a producer at Guardian, is it's not about insurance, it's about a plan if you get sick or hurt and can't work. And that's really what my goal is here, is to spread that word and help advisors be comfortable with the process, and move forward and do the right thing. And if something happens to their client, they have a plan. And again, it may or may not involve insurance, but it all starts with a plan, and more times than not, insurance is part of it.
That's a great introduction, and thank you. And we'll come back to you in just a moment. I want to come back to you, Dan, for a minute, and have you tell us a little bit. So we've got Brady on board, and we know he's been here for a couple of months, kind of laying all the groundwork for what it's going to involve to have this be an integral part of our overall service offerings to our clients. How do you envision the people who are on this call, or other advisors and prospects, people being able to work with Brady? How is that going to mesh, and then with the existing organization that we already have in place?
Well, and as Brady will share, there's multiple ways that disability insurance can be delivered. There's obviously individual insurance, so a client needs coverage and it's not available through work, or they need additional coverage, and Brady certainly is the expert on that. But beyond that, we also work with a number of agencies that offer benefits to businesses and business owners, and so there's a whole nother side to disability insurance that's available as an executive benefit or an add-on above and beyond group insurance. And Brady has a tremendous amount of experience with that. So, we like to say, pick your adventure in working with us. If you have some experience with disability insurance and you just want quotes, Brady can assist with that and help you weed through which company is going to be best with the definitions, because it is a little bit more unique when it comes to underwriting and looking at what is covered, what isn't covered, and Brady's background as an underwriter is tremendous to help the advisor know where this case is likely going to go. And then if you are working with a corporation and you want to do guaranteed issue or buy-sell planning or other things, we talk about if you need help, Brady's here to help make a presentation to your client, or he can actually come in and do point of sale support if you want to choose that adventure. So we can assist you in what you're doing already, venture one, adventure two, help you do it better and come alongside you, or number three, do it for you. So choose your adventure, and I think that's what you'll find with Brady.
A lot of really great options for our advisors, especially for those who maybe haven't got any experience in this particular discipline. So let's come back to you now, Brady, and talk about that for a minute. I'll admit, I'm one of the people that have been in this business, working alongside with advisors for many, many years, and I really have no experience at all in engaging with disability income issues, or or trying to find disability income coverage. So use me as the guinea pig, if you will, and explain to me, like I'm a fifth grader, what is disability income all about? Why is this important to me as a financial advisor? And maybe more importantly, why is it important to my clients?
Yeah, and I'll want to touch on one thing, Dan talked about, myself, but I would say we also have a great team at E4 with our RVPs, and I'm here along with them. That's your on the street relationship day to day, and I have my own relationships as well, but I'm here to complement the RVP and work hand in hand with what you guys are already doing today, and just making it easier. Beginning, to your point, John, and the disability side, and the next brew, which is kind of a good lead segue into that too. I am going to talk a little bit about having the conversation, because one thing I say, advisors say, well, who are my best prospects? And I'm like, are all your clients independently wealthy? Most time you get kind of a chuckle. It's like, no. I said, well, they're working for a reason, right? So I said, well, anybody who needs their income has to have a plan. It's that simple. There's not a who do I talk to and who do I don't talk to? Again, I'd say if you're running into burning buildings, climbing, water towers, using explosives, carry weapons for a living, you probably might have a harder time getting insurance. But everyone else, there are options with all the different carriers we have in our lineup to get coverage. Again, it's really, you tell me how much a client needs and what their budget is, and we go out and can find the right carrier and the right plan design to meet that need budget.
Well, I think that's a really great point that you make. I think of people who would want or need disability income coverage would be somebody who is in a high risk kind of profession like that, first responders, or people who are putting their lives on the line, or in positions of danger. But I don't have a lot of clients like that. You're suggesting that there's other reasons and other people that need this kind of coverage as well, even though I don't really think of myself as being in a high danger role. There's risk to me. That's what you're saying.
Correct. And that's where, I've used the terms sick or hurt and can't work. No one's going to become disabled. When people think disability, you back the old days, that's Christopher Reeve riding his horse and breaking his neck and living for like 7 or 8 years, as a quadriplegic. That's what people think about when the term disability. But, disabilities come a lot of shapes and sizes. And, again, John, you have a desk job pretty much. But does that prevent, you being out on your bike and, somebody runs a stop sign and hits you on your bike and you're out of commission? Does that prevent you from getting cancer? Heart disease, diabetes? No.
You're hitting pretty close to home there, Brady. I think you need to pick on somebody else for a second.
So, that's the part is, you think, people, don't need it. They're not that risky, but again, most disabilities are caused by illness, not accident. So, and that's something you have little to no control over, unfortunately. Yeah, there's some things you do, but you see marathon runners who have heart attacks or strokes. They're in perfectly good shape, but the family history wasn't on their side.
John, when you think about our advisors and the people that are actually helping clients grow their wealth, and that's what so much of advisor activity is geared around: investment, money management, how diversification. But every client you have just about uses their health to grow their wealth. You must have the health in order to grow your wealth. But what happens when your health, you're hurt or sick and can't grow your wealth? How are you going to keep that income stream going? And that's the plan that every advisor has to have. So I like to say, we're there to help make sure your advisors, if their health does not allow them to grow their wealth, that we have a plan for that.
Yeah, this seems to me like we're talking about a different kind of health insurance in a way. If you're saying that the majority of these disabling events happen when people become sick, not necessarily in a workplace type of an accident, We may think of a health insurance only in terms of the kind of stuff that we get through our employers as part of our benefits package, your doctor well visits and your dentist visits and things like that. But it doesn't cover what happens if you can't work. So that's really what we're trying to address. Is that correct, Brady?
Correct. And what we're trying to really do is analyze their plans. And that's something, in the next brew, I'm going to talk more in depth about is, where are sources of income that people can have, and, how do employer plans work? And, it's kind of a misnomer. And I think that's part of it is just a misunderstanding and misperception of people and what they have and don't have. When do you want to know? After something happens, it's too late. Again, give somebody the choice. I mean, again, I say educate, advocate, and activate. Those are the three things. If you educate somebody and do the right thing, they're probably going to take some sort of action.
All right, well, this is probably a relatively new area for a lot of the people who are watching this show or part of it today. Talk a little bit about how we're planning on rolling this out. You mentioned we're doing a three-part series of brews, and this is the first of those three. What other kinds of things are we doing to try and bring the awareness of disability income insurance to our advisors' attention? What kinds of things will you be doing, Brady?
Well, I mean, we've already been working, John and I, you've been working on some, quick one-page marketing hits, more from an advisor standpoint, and, the why, and having the conversation and making it easier. We'll be presenting at our Savvy Advisors in the end of September. We're going to have a disability section on that. And then, working with RVPs, and we're having some agency meetings. And again, that's really what I'm here for, is to do it on your time, and what your schedule, and really how we can work best with you. And I think that's kind of, from an E4 standpoint, being upfront and being an available resource, that's really what is, I think, going to set us apart.
Yeah. Excellent. Let me throw out a couple of questions, just because, having spent many years working with advisors, I feel like I have a little bit of an understanding of some of their approaches to things. But what do you say to the advisor who's just honestly maybe not presenting these solutions because they're not comfortable with it? So how is E4 going to be able to help that advisor?
And I think that's where Dan talked about the choose your adventure. Again, and that's not an adventure forever. I mean, again, there may be some that don't want anything to do with it and never want anything to do with it, and we're here to help you with that. And there's some that need some help along the way until they get comfortable, and we can do that. Or if you just want the quotes, we can do it from that side. So, or if you need help and then you get more comfortable over time and you don't need as much help anymore, that's fine too. That's really, it's kind of that choose your adventure, and it's not your adventure forever. It's your adventure, for the case you're currently working on.
Yeah, one of the things, John, that Brady's really, really good at is, when we think about the planning that we get involved with, a lot of times we focus more on the life insurance side, when we talk about buy-sell planning for two business owners, let's say. But that same buy-sell agreement typically defines what happens. Sometimes it's poorly written, but it defines what happens if one of the partners or business owners becomes disabled. How does that affect the business? Who's going to get bought out? Where's that money going to come from? Brady does a really good job of reviewing those kind of documents and providing some counsel back for advisors that just, they need to have that discussion with their clients. So there's lots of opportunities for us to add value. And I think that's what you're going to find is Brady takes the next 2 weeks to really roll into more of the specific details. But that's the why of what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and John, I've spent time as a personal producer with Guardian, so I've been in the agent seat, which, it's a lot of times as wholesalers for companies, they've never sold themselves, and I know what it's like to be. And it's also, in the advanced design, being in underwriting and personal production and moving it out, I've seen and heard a lot of different things, and can kind of look and bring something from a different perspective, like Dan talked about, looking at buy-sell agreements. And talking about it. Again, all we're doing is putting options out there for the clients to make sure they understand, if something happens, who's making the decision and where's the money coming from. It doesn't matter if it's a buy-sell agreement, business overhead expense, if it's somebody dies or you get divorced. I mean, you have to have those things planned for.
Yeah. Let me, again, kind of try and put myself into an advisor's seat here for somebody that's listening in on this conversation. If I'm engaged with E4 already, I'm already writing some life insurance and annuity business. So you're asking me to just really broaden out the conversation. This is pretty much the same as doing term insurance, right? I'm just filling out an app and letting it go from there. Is that correct?
Yeah, it could only be as easy as applying for term insurance. That's the part, we'll talk about you have three parts. I mean, it's your health, your occupation, and your income. So those are the three parts that they underwrite for DI. It's a little bit more complex. We have a good intake form that will help me and our team, assess the risk properly. So number one, we can set the right expectations so that if you go out to your client with the solution, you got a pretty good idea of what it might look like. You had the coloring thing, and I always laugh and make that analogy. I say, underwriters are like kindergartners. If you give them a blank piece of paper or a picture, they're going to make their own picture, and you'll put it on your fridge, and somebody will go, oh, hey, that your kid's disturbed. Because what are they drawing there? And you're like, that's a beautiful picture. It all comes from the eyes of the beholder. But again, if we can give you, the color by numbers, and if you have 100 numbers on there and we can connect 90, it's going to pretty much look like your client and give you that possible outcome. So again, the better we set the expectations up front, that's when we're going to have positive outcomes in the back. And again, then everybody wins. The client wins, you win, and we win at E4.
Yeah, fantastic. Look, I know there's going to be a lot more coming down the pike, and we're going to get a lot more information from you as we begin to roll this out and make it a part of our everyday conversations with clients. But that's going to be coming in the weeks ahead, both in the next 2 weeks on the brew, as well as a series of postings and other communications that you'll be getting from E4. But let's take the last couple of minutes we have. Is there anything else that you think is important for people to know at this juncture, either Dan or Brady? And let's try and wrap up with those thoughts.
Well, I go back to, we've talked at length, and Shane Van Patten, one of our long-term care linked benefit experts, he starts the conversation about long-term care planning, the getting old and frail and what's going to happen. He talks about having a plan, and every advisor needs to ask their question to their clients: what is your plan? What is your plan if you become old and frail and your expenses go up because you need care? And Brady comes at it from the exact same position. What is your plan if you become sick or hurt and can't work? What is your plan? So start with a plan of what would happen, and then see if there's a need there to go beyond that. And it's consistent across our platform of how we assist advisors in crafting better financial outcomes that create predictability in an unpredictable world. So, very
good, Brady. Any thoughts?
I mean, again, I agree 100% with Dan. I mean, that's my. If I were to say anything, that's what we're trying to do, and that's why I'm here. And we're ready to go. Activity's already started, which is awesome, and people are buying in, and it's creating the positive advisor experience, consistent positive advisor experience, and that's my goal. Is really, can we? How does it look? Should look exactly like the other side. I know there was a question there, start to finish, what's the average turnaround time on getting a policy issued? Again, that really depends upon the information up front and what we have. And sometimes they order more medical records on DI because what won't kill you will disable you. Mental health records, chiropractic. I mean, those are just a couple examples that they probably wouldn't order records on the life side. But again, start to finish. I mean, there are programs I've had policies issued and underwritten in 5 days. Some of them go 90 days, just like the life side. I mean, some of our health professionals are less than less important to get the carrier's medical records. So sometimes it's a battle to get the records. Again, sometimes it's financial pieces, but I think that each case is a little bit different. And when we start up front, we have the information from the intake. We can give you a pretty good idea of when it's going to take, assuming we have all the financial documentation, they're doing their exam if that's needed, or if potentially medical records are ordered. And that's the part the advisor experiences as we go along, steps along the way. You'll be notified as to what's going on with the case.
Right, and E4 is staffed to be able to handle all of the case management from application submission to policy delivery. So that doesn't necessarily fall on the shoulders of the advisor.
Correct. In the same case manager you work with for your life business is the same case manager you're going to work with for your disability business.
Fantastic. Look, we'll wait to see if there's any further questions from the audience. In the meantime, I'd remind you all that today's brew and our full brew library are recorded and shared on the brew blog at our website at www.e4.insurance, and also available on the E4 Insurance Services YouTube channel, which you can Google in any web browser. For a giveaway, Brady, I'm going to ask you to pick a number between 1 and 26 today.
We got to go with lucky 13.
Lucky 13. That was my birthday. 13.
Mine too.
Today is Dawn Stewart. So congratulations, Dawn. Be on the lookout for a complimentary CE voucher and a Starbucks gift card that will be coming your way from all of us here at E4 Insurance Services. Looking to see if there are any other questions, and not seeing any, we'll wrap it up for the day. Next week, I'd ask you to come and join us again. We continue this series, our second to three-part series on disability income. And Brady's going to be discussing ways in which an advisor can engage with their clients in disability income planning, as well as how to go about obtaining and completing a disability income quote request. So thanks, gentlemen, for being here on the show today. We look forward to hearing more about this interesting topic, and we'll see you all again next week on The Brew.